Well, hello and welcome to another of our cool installments of interviewing Flint Hills Publishing authors. And today I am so lucky to have been able to grab lightning in a bottle herself, Sharon Leino, so she will sit down for a minute and talk to me about her book. Sharon is one of my hardest, if not my hardest working author on promoting her books, and I am learning so much from her. Sharon has written a wonderful series of books, The Adventures in Lusair. And you can just see these covers are just so amazing. I'm sure she's going to talk about that process a little bit too. And I'm going to let Sharon tell you about herself because she's had a very interesting career that has gone way beyond being an author. So, Sharon has a rich career as an educator, and I do want you to talk about that. You threw yourself into a new career as an author. What inspired you to do this, and are you glad that you did?
Well, first of all, I'm very happy I did. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. I get tired and crabby, but thank goodness I have my daughter Gretchen to help me. Um, what started it all was after my husband died, I didn't know what to do. I was a caretaker for 15 years,
Mm.
and I had a lot of time on my hand. And so I asked God, I said, what am I going to do now? And it seemed like just within the week, a friend from Texas um, had written and given me an invitation to a writer's retreat at Richard Paul Evans Ranch. And so I went to the retreat and followed his classes online, and that's how it all really started. After writing, it took me a year to write and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. But then it was looking for a publisher and learning all about marketing. Everyone thinks that authors just write, but in this day and age, we also have to learn marketing. And so I thought, well, I'll look for um, a publisher. And I was online and I found two. I found your publishing company and one in Ann Arbor. And I called my sister-in-law who had worked for the publishing company. And she was in the accounting department, and she researched you and said, this is a good, solid company. Because I had tried looking into self-publishing, but it was just, I had to do too much research and I didn't understand everything. And so I called you, and only after you rejected me first, because you also advertised if you had any questions as an attorney, you could help me answer them, and I did. I thought, well, she rejected me. Maybe she can help me figure out what the self-publishing is all about and which are the scam ones and which ones are legitimate. And I was fortunate that after talking to you, you decided to take me on. And
Well,
so from then
I'm
on, it's been
yeah,
wonderful.
I'm glad I made that decision. And I have to say, it is because of the personal contact, you reaching out to me, and and you were very smart in looking at my site because you knew that if you had a question about a contract, that was going to get my attention because that's one of my personal, touchstones. I don't want authors being taken advantage of. And then once we made that connection, I was like, oh, this is a woman who's got some cool stuff to say. And it became clear to me how passionate you were about your work. So that passion I know helped you, and I know you have a wonderful imagination, Sharon. So where did the ideas for these books come from? And tell us briefly about the books. And, there's a special, I know you have a sneaky, used to be a teacher agenda in these books. So tell us about that.
Okay. Well, the book Scaredy. Well, first of all, let me tell you about my background. Um, I had a problem that every 4 years I seemed to be bored. So in education, I taught early elementary and later elementary special education, each for 4 years. Then I went into curriculum development for 4 years. Then I developed learning labs, which were reading labs for 4 years. And then I met my husband, and he was a businessman, and he had so much freedom that I thought, "Ugh, I don't want to be locked into a school year." So we had a restaurant for 4 years, which I loved. I enjoyed. I learned to actually cook there. I really wasn't a good cook until then. And then after that, I worked at mental health, and I worked there for about 10 years because I was never bored. I was an advocate for medically fragile children and learned to advocate through schools and medical cares for the family. Well, in doing this, my heart has always been for children. And during COVID, I kept reading how the children were isolated, were afraid, had short attention spans. And so I decided to write short chapter books. And that's how Scaredy first came up. Because Scaredy has Rudy, who is afraid of everything. No matter what is going on, he always has an excuse not to do it. And he never admits that he's afraid. He has a friend, Billy, who helps him as much as he can, but he's in Taekwondo a lot. So Rudy is also being bullied. And they go into this wonderful land of Lusair, and they learn how to overcome by helping Lusair solve Lusair's problem, where Lusair thinks everything's evil is good and everything good is evil. And the second book, Wandering Years, is about Josie, who doesn't listen. We added a girl to the adventures in Lusair with Billy and Rudy. And she learns to listen by helping again the land of Lusair. Lusair is always in trouble. Tame That Flame is about Billy, who is dealing with anger and has difficulty in handling anger, as does Lusair. Everyone is angry in Lusair. But in all these adventures, these children go through, they learn, number one, that adults can be trusted. They learn that good friends are essential. They learn to listen. They learn special techniques, such as breathing techniques to help overcome anger. They learn to stand up for themselves. And so it's just all processes of learning with the children. A lot of my imagination, I feel, comes from God, but also from my favorite authors were Terry Goodkind and Robert Jordan and Terry Brooks, and they all wrote wonderful fantasy books.
Hmm. Well, Sharon, you are clearly an inspired woman with a very open heart. And it's interesting, the number four is important to me too. I have four sons who love to read, and they're older now, but they would have loved your series, I know. And I also know you're working on a fourth book in the
Yes.
Adventures of Lusair. Do you want to tell people, give them a little sneak peek what you're working on?
Okay. Rudy's grandmother has died, and he is grieving, and he just cannot get over that grief. But there's a reason he can't get over it, and you won't find out until you read most of the book. So they go through the valley of despair, through the gloomy jungles, and through the red death sands in order to figure out how to help Rudy. His friends are with him and trying to help him. And I think it's quite an adventure.
Well, I look forward to having it arrive in my computer. But I know you're really busy now marketing your books. You are a shining example of how to market your book. Do you have any tips, hints, strategies, a couple things you want to share with people who might be thinking about this very issue, getting that book out there?
Okay, well, I was never on social media until a year ago. And I find that that's very important, that you need to be on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram. And everybody goes that Facebook is for older people, TikTok for younger people, but I find that all ages are on all of these. And so it's important to post about your book, about yourself, but um, about yourself relating to the book. I think it's important to look for venues where you can sell your book, whether it's at a market, whether it's at a school. Schools are a little bit harder to get into since COVID, but libraries. Um, we have friends of the library in Florida, and so I talk to the friends of the libraries. I even have my book sales at garage sales, and they do wonderful. You just have to do a lot of research, and when you're looking for venues to sell your books at fairs, or really research them, because some of them are very expensive. And personally, I've decided they're not worth it. They may be for some people, but sometimes they're not well organized. And if you go to them and you don't sell anything and there are no people that come, don't get discouraged. Just mark it down in your record that, this is something that you should not attend again. So I think just tracking where your successes are and have a system. The thing I'm learning, it's important to have a system to record what you've sold. Well, first of all, your inventory, what you sold, for how much you sold, and where your money is going. Because my first book, the proceeds go to feeding the poor. And part of the second book goes for children's ministries. And so I have to keep track of all that, and I'm still working out a system so that I'm not checking and rechecking and rechecking. But
Sharon, I love that you are in a position where you are able to give part of the proceeds of your book to those in need. I think that's beautiful, and it certainly fits the work I'm trying to do with Flint Hills Publishing. And for those of you who may not know, I actually have 4 authors, Flint Hills Publishing authors, that live in Florida. So Sharon, one of my goals for 2024 is we're going to meet in person finally, and I want to help you to sell your book, and we're going to have a lot of fun and just spread these wonderful messages that you have written about so well. So
well,
thank you
that
so
would be
much,
great,
Sharon.
because I'll tell you what, I have other authors I've connected with. And so we're sharing a booth. It's very expensive to go to the World Equestrian Center Art and Crafts Spring Festival. And so we've connected and we're sharing that booth. And there's a lot of things like that that we could share with other authors.
I love that attitude. You're so open. I'll be sure to share the information about when that event's going to be. And I would hope all of you will follow Sharon. Her website is SharonLeinoAuthor.com. She also has an author's page on FlintHillsPublishing.com, and she's all over social media. She's become a video wizard. I'm just so impressed with all you're doing, Sharon. So thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I look forward to your next book.
Thank you.